My dear students, today I want to talk about something very important that goes beyond books, beyond classrooms, and even beyond teaching methods, and that is the art and practice of self-reflection. You see, when we talk about great teaching, many people think it's all about subject knowledge, delivery style, discipline, or how effectively a teacher manages the class. But the truth is, behind every effective teacher is not just knowledge but also a habit of reflecting on themselves, their methods, their strengths, their weaknesses, and their overall role in the lives of students. So today, I want you to imagine yourself in the shoes of a teacher and walk with me through the journey of self-reflection techniques that can transform an ordinary teacher into an extraordinary one. Now first, let me ask you a simple question. What happens when you stand in front of a mirror? The mirror does not lie, does it? It shows you exactly how you are, your face, your clothes, your expressions. Similarly, self-reflection is like standing in front of a mental mirror where you honestly see your teaching style, your classroom interactions, and your overall impact on students. A good teacher never assumes that their way is always perfect. Instead, they ask themselves regularly, did my students understand today's lesson? Did I connect with them? Did I inspire them or just transfer facts? That honest questioning is the first step of self-reflection. One of the simplest techniques of self-reflection is keeping a teaching journal. Just like you students sometimes write diaries, teachers too can write journals where they note what went well in a lesson, what did not, and what could be improved. For example, after finishing a class, a teacher can write, "Today I noticed that students lost interest halfway through my explanation. Maybe I spoke too long without interaction. Next time I will include a small activity." This simple act of writing creates awareness. It is not about criticizing oneself, but about learning from experience. Another powerful technique is self-questioning. Imagine a teacher asking themselves, was I too fast? Did I give enough examples? Did I allow space for questions? Was my body language open and encouraging or closed and strict? These questions act as a guide and help teachers slowly improve class after class. Self-reflection does not require hours. Sometimes just 5 minutes of honest self-questioning is enough to bring change. Let us also talk about student feedback. Now many teachers are afraid of asking students what they think about their teaching because they fear criticism. But remember, feedback is not about attacking, it is about growing. A reflective teacher may ask students to anonymously write one thing they liked and one thing they wish was different about the lesson. By collecting these little notes, a teacher can learn directly from the learners themselves. And often students give very practical suggestions. For example, they might say, "Sir, we enjoy when you use stories," or, "Madam, we wish you gave us more time to answer," instead of moving too quickly. Such insights are precious, and only a reflective teacher is brave enough to listen. Next comes peer observation. This is when teachers observe each other's classes. Now at first, it may feel uncomfortable to have another teacher watching, but it is one of the best self-reflection techniques. When a colleague observes, they can point out blind spots you may never notice yourself. For example, you might not realize that you turn your back too often to the class while writing on the board, or that you repeat filler words. A peer can gently highlight these things, and when you reflect on them, you grow. Another essential technique is video recording your class. Imagine recording yourself during a lecture, and then watching it later as if you were one of the students. At first, it can be surprising or even shocking to see your gestures, your tone, your pace, but that shock is a powerful tool for reflection. You might notice that your voice drops when explaining difficult concepts, or that your face looks too serious, or that you move too little and appear static. Once you notice, you can adjust. The camera becomes your best mirror for self-improvement. Let me also tell you about goal setting as reflection. A teacher should not just reflect randomly, but also set clear goals. For example, one may set a goal. This week, I will improve student participation by asking 3 open-ended questions in each class. After the class, the teacher reflects, did I achieve this goal? What was the student's response? This targeted reflection creates measurable growth. Now, dear students, remember that self-reflection is not about becoming self-critical or doubting oneself constantly. It is about developing awareness and ownership. Teachers who reflect regularly become more empathetic because they see the classroom from the student's perspective. They realize when they are being too harsh, when they are not giving enough breaks, or when they are not encouraging enough. This awareness leads to improvement not only in teaching methods, but also in building stronger teacher-student relationships. Another technique is using reflective questions at the end of the week, such as, "What worked best for me this week as a teacher? What challenges did I face and how did I respond? Did I inspire curiosity or just deliver content? If I had to teach the same lessons again, what would I change?" By writing or even thinking about these questions, a teacher slowly becomes wiser and more effective. I also want to emphasize the technique of mindfulness and self-awareness during teaching itself. For example, while teaching, a teacher may pause for a second and observe their own emotions. Am I rushing? Am I frustrated? Am I engaged? This real-time reflection allows instant correction. If a teacher feels frustration rising, they can take a deep breath and reset. If they notice students are disengaged, they can quickly switch to a question or activity. Mindful reflection makes teaching more alive and responsive. Now let me give you a practical scenario. Suppose a teacher is teaching a topic in mathematics, and halfway through the class, they notice students looking confused. A non-reflective teacher might just continue the lesson, finish it, and leave. But a reflective teacher will pause, ask, "Am I going too fast? Did I explain this step clearly?" And maybe use another example or story to simplify. That reflection in the moment transforms confusion into clarity. Self-reflection can also be done through professional learning communities, where groups of teachers meet regularly to discuss their challenges and share solutions. When one teacher says, "I struggle with keeping students engaged in the last period," another may suggest, "I use short quizzes at the end to keep energy alive." By reflecting together, teachers learn from one another's experiences. Furthermore, reflective teachers keep updating themselves by reading new research, attending workshops, and connecting theory to their practice. After reading, they ask, "How can I apply this idea in my own class? Will it benefit my students?" This shows that reflection is not just about looking back, but also about looking forward. So, my dear students, you see, self-reflection is like polishing a mirror every day. The clearer the mirror, the better you see yourself, and the better you grow. The techniques I have shared with you, journaling, questioning, feedback, peer observation, recording, goal setting, mindfulness, weekly reviews, and learning communities, all of these are simple but powerful. They do not require extra money or fancy equipment. They only require honesty and commitment. And let me remind you, when teachers reflect, students benefit the most. Because a reflective teacher is always adapting, always improving, always trying to connect better. Such a teacher not only teaches subjects but also inspires by example. Students learn not just lessons, but also the habit of lifelong learning. So to conclude, I say to you, a teacher who reflects is like a gardener who checks the soil every day, adjusts water and sunlight, and patiently ensures growth. Without reflection, teaching becomes mechanical. But with reflection, teaching becomes an art. And in this art, every class becomes a performance, every lesson becomes a story, and every student becomes a participant in the journey of learning. That is why self-reflection is not just a technique, it is the heartbeat of great teaching.